All right.
Hey everybody! Welcome to another episode of Learning to Live. Ilyas and I are very excited about this one. We are back again. It's Ilyas's idea.
There was an idea to mix Learning to Live and Marvel Universe to create something bigger and better than anything you've ever seen in the mental health sphere ever.
We are so excited about this. So as we mentioned last week, we're going through chronologically all the MCU universe movies.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we are going to tie those topics to mental and emotional wellness.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the first of the series, it all starts with Captain America, the First Avenger.
The man with the plan. All
the
right.
man with the plan. So we were trying to come up with a topic, and I think maybe we even mentioned before that it was going to be resilience.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we got like the you kind of just have that idea in your head, like, oh, Captain America, he's super resilient. He can shake off anything, right? He's got the shield, and that like just shakes off any vibrations. But like the more we watch the movie, it's the more the actual idea actually came to mind, and it's not resilience, but drum roll, perseverance. All right. And
Perseverance.
And I can't think of a character in the Marvel Universe that probably represents perseverance more than Cap, honestly.
No, me neither. And so you're saying, what is perseverance? We got it right here.
Yeah.
In adhering to a course of action, a belief, or a purpose. Steadfastness in purpose in spite of difficulties, obstacles, or discouragement.
That's Captain America in a nutshell.
That is Captain America in a nutshell, and that's what we want us to be.
Absolutely.
Perseverance is so vital for people who struggle mentally and emotionally.
So
because life throws lots of curveballs.
Yeah, life's crazy, man.
And there is struggles for all of us, let alone if maybe we have a chemical imbalance, or we've had, trauma in the past, or, emotional abuse. Just so many different things can contribute to kind of our mental instability or emotional instability. But persevering is something that we all must learn. And once we do, we can kind of follow in Cap's footsteps.
You have the super serum at that point.
Yeah. You got the super serum. So one other thing I wanted to bring, we got a little family game we play. So please stick around for the whole episode. We got a little Easter egg at the end.
Yes, sir.
So we want you guys to stick around as we learn about perseverance.
Yes, sir.
So this picture, this image is a very good way to start.
They're telling.
Like
you see little small scrawny Steve Rogers, but you can still see the determination in his eyes. You see the honesty, right? And then you see that evolve into Captain America, like the man with the plan. We all know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Post super serum, but that's just representative of the perseverance that we're going to be talking about today. And just how much of a superpower it really is.
Exactly. So first, we're going to talk about persevering when all our tools haven't fallen into place.
Basically, when the world's just not going your way. You know what I mean? Things are just not in your court quite yet,
And this is one thing that's very inspiring about Steve Rogers, is from the get-go, when he's a scrawny little guy from Brooklyn, he always perseveres. He always, in his heart, he always knows he's meant to be successful. He's meant for something bigger. And he maximizes the tools he has. All 95 pounds of him or whatever it is. I mean, look at the guy. Okay? Look at the guy.
He's hanging by a thread.
He's hanging by a thread. He's scrawny. He's, not the best looking. But he has that soldier's heart.
He's got the heart of gold,
Yeah. And he says, I can do this all day. That's something, as we go through the series, we're going to probably talk about Captain America saying that quite a few times.
It's very recurring, and it just really continues to prove that Captain America, no matter what iteration he is, even if you agreed with him or not in Civil War, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in any interaction that he's in, he can do it all day. His perseverance carries with him.
He can do it all day. And this is a message. This is what I love about the Marvel Universe. And that's why I'm so excited about this series, man. Because it so applies to life. You know, we can learn to think like Captain Rogers.
Absolutely.
Like Steve Rogers. We can learn to persevere. We can learn to see, I can do this all day.
Mm-hmm. And you see the fruit of it later on in the different movies too. Like you see how Captain America's perseverance helps him against, you know, spoiler alert, Thanos, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about perseverance is as you persevere, you grow stronger. Absolutely. Every time you see, I get through this, and I made it. I get through this, and I made it. I get through this, and I made it.
Absolutely.
You know, it takes that. It's like building a muscle. You know, it hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts.
But no pain, no gain.
Exactly. That next 3 days, you know, when you build it again, then it hurts again. But it got a little stronger. And that's what Steve Rogers, you know, does. I can do this all day. He continues to persevere in so many avenues. And it starts early on with people picking on him. You know, when you're weak, people sense weaknesses.
They do.
It's sad, it's wrong, but it's the way that things are. You know, hopefully as a society, one day we can get to the point where we can kind of tilt that in a different direction. But there's always going to be people who are more powerful who are trying to prey on the weak. And Steve was weak physically.
Yeah, he almost got knocked out in the alleyway, you know?
Yeah, but we all have strengths. And this is where it really ties into mental wellness, is that maybe physically we're weak. Maybe mentally we're very strong. Maybe mentally we're a little weak. But maybe physically we're strong. Absolutely. You know, we all have gifts.
We do.
You know, and maximizing those gifts and accentuating the gifts and being neutral, or, you know, not focusing on kind of our faults, you know, identifying them and knowing they're there, but not filtering everything through, why am I so scrawny? You know, that's one thing that Steve Rogers never did. And we don't want you to do it either. Ilyas and I try every day to, you know, I can do this all day.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. We carry it with us, honestly.
Yeah. So now we move on to there's always a way.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of another aspect of Steve's perseverance.
Like, not so much like the physical side, but like persevering and achieving his goals. You know what I mean? Like, basically Steve's main goal in his life up until that point was joining the army, because during that point it was like World War II, you know, fighting Nazis and all that. He was a little boy from Brooklyn.
And his dad had also, I think, died in the. Yeah. His dad had fought for sure. I believe died in the World War I. So, you know, there's that element of wanting to carry on the you know, the kind of family
tradition, basically. Yes. And then he would continuously like watch those like little serial films in the theater. You know, that's how he got the interaction with the bully, you know. Yeah. And his friend Bucky also ended up joining the military as well, you know. Or should I say the army? But he you know, he didn't have the best build. You know what I mean? He was, unfortunately, like he had physical inability. But he kept at it because he wanted to achieve his goals. He did some shady stuff, you know, like he saw a little sign saying "Don't lie on your form." He did lie on his form. He'd say like,
not that we're encouraging that, but the thing is that he persevered. Like he saw a goal and he stayed there. And I think perseverance, you know, over the physical, you know, I think sometimes we can handle that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, okay, I'll work stronger. You know, you might, as Steve, he stayed small. But one thing that's kind of hard is like societal rejection. Yeah. And that's what Steve had to go through a lot. Continually, he was being told, you can't do this. You're not good enough for this. You're not qualified enough for this. But he knew in his heart that he could do it.
Yeah, he always had it in him.
And that's where we have to not get beat down by the system, not get beat down by the opinions of others, but see our goal and continue to strengthen that. Now, that's not the easiest thing, but we can build our mind to accomplish that. You know, and that's a lot of this series, is because so many times we see other people be successful and it looks like other people are getting advantages and everything, and it makes us maybe kind of a little frustrated and kind of going, why am I not, you know, qualifying and everything? But
why not me?
Why not me? Exactly. But when we see Captain America, And we see him later on, and we all are wearing his gear and like loving lots of the stuff he does, and when he saves the universe and Endgame, and all of them are continually doing that. But we see the great things about Captain America, but then we go back and see, but he went through a lot.
He went through so much, man.
And that's what I love about the MCU universe. MCU? Yeah. Sorry about that. I lost it there for a second. Yeah, that's what I love about the Marvel universe is these lessons that show the strength in these superheroes, but also the weakness and the perseverance and the resilience and the acceptance of the things that they go through. And that's why this is a perfect series to inspire people to, move forward. We all have challenges. The Marvel universe helps us see how we can get through those challenges.
Especially like, as you mentioned, like seeing the fruits of their labor, and Dr. Erskine, he comes through and he sees Steve and he's like, okay, you're not that great of a build, but let's see those exams, right? And so we go into the next, never mind.
Well, we'll talk about Dr. Erskine later. But another amazing example from the movie. This is the cool thing about the Marvel universe is there's so many entwined characters and sub stories and everything, but you can learn. But they kind of all follow a line, and I really think the theme of Captain America is perseverance, and a perfect example is Howard Stark.
Absolutely.
Howard Stark. Go ahead.
Howard Stark. He's a hot shot at this point in his life. He's a big entrepreneur. You could probably compare him like Elon Musk, basically at that point, right?
Yeah.
He's
but not successful yet.
Not that successful yet. No.
Yes. As you'll see in the movie.
Yeah. As you'll right there in the screenshot on the right, he's showing off his flying car, anti-gravitable technology, right?
Yeah.
With Steve and Bucky and in the stands, and it kind of blows up in his face.
Yeah, the car pretty much blows up.
Mm-hmm.
Howard Stark, though, is embarrassed at the World's Fair. And the World's Fair was like the biggest event during that period of time.
Absolutely.
It was huge. It was amazing. That was the, who's of, in innovation and technology, and for his car to be embarrassed like that. But Howard persevered.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look off to the other side of the screen, you see where that perseverance came. He became Stark Industries. He became, the father of Tony Stark, Iron Man. His innovation changed the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he also made an empire for himself and his family. So I think that it's good to show that, you always hear the thing about, how many shots Michael Jordan's missed and how many times Babe Ruth struck out. But in this movie, I think another good example of perseverance is Howard Stark and how his car blew up, but he kept moving forward. He found that vibranium and developed the shield, and it just got bigger and bigger. And he raised his son to be innovative too. And
because if you notice, especially when the car blew up, he didn't talk himself down, did he?
No,
he just said I did say in a few years, didn't I? He kept at it. He said okay, I'm gonna get this stuff done.
In a few years. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude of perseverance I want you to have. Not I want people to see this, especially if you struggle with depression or some of those things. Obviously if it's too intense, we need to go in and get medical help. But if it's doable, we all kind of go through those kind of depressive states every once in a while. And seeing Howard's attitude in a few years, instead of, oh, how embarrassing, I'm done, I'm finished. He's like, I did say in a few years.
Exactly.
And in a few years, he was rocking the world.
And he created the empire that we we see in the future,
Yeah. So that is another amazing example of perseverance from this movie. Now we will go to Dr. Erskine, which Ilyas, Silver PCs in the house, was talking about earlier. So go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about Dr. Erskine.
So Dr. Erskine, I think he is the perfect example of perseverance in life in general through the big and the small moments. With Dr. Erskine, he was the doctor that ended up supplying Red Skull, the villain of the movie, spoiler alert, with the prototype super serum. That results in like, the Red Skull, like the actual face that we see later on. But that was a breakthrough, in his technology. But it ended up being a failure because, Red Skull is not the greatest person. He's actually a really bad dude, leader of Hydra and all that. But that didn't let him get him down, right?
Yeah.
He had to he kept at it, kept trying to find, different substitutes for the super serum and improving it as well in his time. And he would later find out Steve Rogers, and with Steve Rogers, he takes notes of his 5 exams, and Steve's like, okay, you gotta take a look at my 5 F's or 5
failures.
5 failures, right? And it's like, it's as you see the quote right there, it's not the 5 exams that I want, it's the 5 tries. He takes notes of his perseverance and rewards him, and his own perseverance, Dr. Erskine's, is rewarded as well because Steve Rogers ends up being the perfect candidate for it.
And that's the cool thing, is that even though he was stuck in a situation where his innovation and his life's work was eventually used for evil, that can be a pretty scary thing. He could have functioned out of fear. He could have gone, oh no, I created this monster in Red Skull, and I better hide myself and not continue to develop. But no, he had faith. He moved forward and said, no, you know what? I made a mistake, but I can get this right. I know that good can come from this. And so many times when you operate out of fear, you don't persevere. When you're operating out of failure and fear and all those things, you cost yourself, your family, and potentially society all the good things that you could bring to it. And all of us have good skills, good talents that we can bring to society. And that's what I love about Dr. Erskine, is even though he failed, if you will, I mean, his serum worked, but it worked on the wrong person. He didn't give up.
Absolutely. And
he persevered. He continued to have perseverance.
And that's a huge moment in his life for perseverance as well. And then you see a little small moment of perseverance as well in the bottom screenshot over there above the quote. Right there is a scene where him and the colonel are debating on, okay, who should be the substitute for, who should be the candidate for the new and improved super serum, right? And Dr. Erskine chooses Steve Rogers, right?
Yeah.
But the colonel wants the bully. Hodge was his name?
Yeah, I think something
similar to that. And Hodge is also not the greatest person either, right? He was being pretty sexist to Agent Carter, and he was just basically a bully.
Yeah, picking on people, and Now he was strong, and he looks what you would look at as your prototype soldier.
But that wasn't exactly what Erskine was looking for. What Erskine was looking for was someone who would be a heart of gold, be a good figurehead for America, a good soldier for America as well, and most importantly, someone who perseveres.
Yes, and that's the other thing about perseverance, is that Dr. Erskine used his mistakes from the past to not make it again. Absolutely. He realized, I took this super serum, gave it to somebody evil, and we're going to see a quote in a little bit that talks about what happens if you give something to somebody good. You see what happens if you give somebody who's not so good. It can cause, they can become even worse. So we'll talk about that quote in I think a slide or two. But as of right now, the biggest thing is realizing that nobody has success without failures.
Certainly.
But learn from that failure and do it differently the next time. But don't beat yourself up, but realize this is a tool for me to move forward, to continue to persevere.
Absolutely.
This was the quote I was talking about. This is why, Steve Rogers is going, why me?
Yeah. Why would you choose me? And he's talking to Dr. Erskine in the scene, right?
Yeah.
And here they're referring to the super serum, but you can actually apply that to perseverance itself, And then Dr. Erskine goes on to say the second quote, what is inside the good becomes great. What's inside the bad becomes worse.
And that was what he learned. And that's what we need to learn too, is that when we feed the good, we become great.
Absolutely.
When we feed those bad thoughts and those negative emotions and those past failures, when we spend our energy and our attention towards those things, the bad becomes worse.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about perseverance and mental wellness is that we control a large part of it.
True.
It's how we filter things. Now, is it easy? No. And we have to be courageous. Like Steve Rogers here. He was the littlest guy there, but what happens is they throw a grenade. You're trained in military. If somebody throws a grenade, you have to protect people. You know, you fall on it, unfortunately, you know?
To protect others, basically.
Yeah. And he did it right away. Now, the bigger, strong guys ran like wild, you know?
Like, head for cover, but then Steve, that shows his own courageousness and his kind of heart, you know? He just falls on the grenade to try and protect everybody else. He's like, go, run.
Yeah, and that goodness was what Dr. Erskine is talking about here. And when the inside is good, it becomes great. Absolutely. You know, and I think that's key, and I think that's what we need to think about, not only just you know, on a personal level, but on our thought level too.
Yeah.
Those thoughts that are good, we need to focus on because they become great and they make us great. Those thoughts that are bad become worse. When we filter things through our, you know, our pain and our persecution in our past, we struggle.
Definitely.
You know, we don't persevere, and we want to persevere. We got to focus on those good things.
Absolutely.
But perseverance works two ways, and this, since this lesson is about perseverance, we gotta explain the whole thing.
And we gotta talk about Red Skull at some point.
We gotta be fair.
Yeah, exactly. And like he's absolutely another person that you could take a look at for perseverance. Not exactly his actions because they're horrible, but you can definitely take note of how he kept at his goals.
Yes.
You know? Like for example, right here, he is like, you know, the leader of Hydra, basically the science division of Nazi Germany at that point, right?
Kind of science and occultic, yeah.
Yeah. But he's upset
in the Marvel universe.
In the Marvel,
as far as we know, it didn't exist. Who knows?
We don't know, but good chance he's not exactly real. Yeah. And then in the movie, he's super obsessed with fantasy and the occult, and he keeps at it for multiple years, and then he ends up finding it in the beginning of the movie, the first scene, in fact, right?
Yes.
He ends up finding the little the
Tesseract.
The Tesseract. There we go. Yeah. And I mean, it brings him insane amount of power. But the only reason why he got that power is because he kept at his goals. He was obsessed with it almost, you know. Of course, he ended up doing it for evil. You know, he used that technology for like the gun that would automatically disintegrate people, and for his own like goals and for Nazi Germany, right?
And he was, you know, tried to fly the plane into destroying the east coast of America.
Exactly, and he's not a very good person. But one thing you can't say about him is that he absolutely persevered, and it got him to some of his goals. You know, he did get the Tesseract, for example.
Well, and this is, I think, the perfect visual. That's what I like about this, the PowerPoint, and hopefully you're enjoying the pictures also.
Definitely let us know. We will, if we get good feedback on this, we'll definitely do more of these.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're doing the whole series either way. But yeah, please give us more feedback. Please let us know what you like, what you didn't like, what we can improve on. You know, we want this is for you. And it's an exciting thing. I know that this can change lives. Absolutely. I really know that this can change lives. But to go back to what I was saying, but this visual right here, you know, this visual really shows bad men becoming worse. You could also think of it as your bad thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, if you look, when you engage in those self-defeating, like negative thoughts of, oh, I'm no good. Oh, you are causing negativity to persevere in your mind.
Definitely.
And, you know, on the inside, we start to look a little like Red Skull.
Yeah.
You know, and perseverance is a great thing when done towards a positive, like Captain America does.
Absolutely. Also, one quick aside, I really do like how in the movie they characterize like evil, you know. For example, with Red Skull, he wears a human face, but then he tears it off, and he's more inhumane, you know.
Yeah.
It's really good characterization in what's it called? just insight into how evil works. It was a really good metaphor.
Yes, the way it hides and the way it kind of deteriorates.
I just really love that attention to detail on Marvel's part. They're just so good on those.
Well, and you know, it can really, and this is why this series I feel is so important, is it can really change our perspectives. And like I guess we really haven't talked about yet. This is for families. This is for you guys. Please sit down with your. It was amazing when Ilyas and I sat down and watched Captain America, and we brought so much out, and you know, we were able to talk about what we want to bring to you. How can we help change this nation, change this world through this series? You know, but do the same with your family. Take that 2.5 hours, watch it. It's an enjoyable film, and then talk about it. Like, grow. Like, it will help. You know, it helped me. It helped him. You know, it helped Rashida. It was just an awesome experience, and I can't say enough how please just try it and like let us know how things turned out, because it's an exciting. I think it's an exciting idea, you know, that Ilyas had. Yeah.
There was an idea.
There was an idea, and now that we can share it, it's manifesting just cool things. So we have enough about Red Skull for now.
Yeah, get him out of here.
So this kind of ties in with what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
So
pain before gain. Yeah.
Yes, pain before gain, you know. To get our mind to persevere in focusing on the good so it can become great instead of the evil so it can become worse. We got to go through some pain.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Anytime, anything worthwhile, there is an element of pain to it. You know, like I always like to go with the muscle analogy, you know, the running, the cardiac, you know, you have to breathe hard. It hurts for a while, but then you get stronger and stronger and stronger. You know, Captain America, while little skinny Steve Rogers was in the machine that was giving him the serum to become the super soldier, he was hurting.
He was going through so much, but you could hear it.
He was screaming.
Yeah.
You know?
And everyone's like, oh my God, shut it down, shut it down. But then you hear a voice coming out of that little pod. He's like, I can do this.
I can do this. I can't emphasize enough how powerful that is.
It's so strong.
I can do this. The whole room stopped.
Yeah.
And let it keep going. And it's a beautiful part in, you know, I think in cinematic history that I can do this. And that's the message that I want everybody out there to get. You know, you can do this. You can do this.
And that type of language is really important in terms of perseverance as well. You have to tell yourselves that positive affirmations when you're doing a task, big or small, you know?
Yes.
Just like saying, I can do this. I got this. I'm powerful enough. I'm smart enough, you know?
Yes.
You have to push yourself. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know?
Totally. Yes, exactly.
And for those who don't know, that's basically like when you put something like in your mind, it basically, you fulfill that and it becomes the reality of the situation. For example, and you can use that in good or bad. Like you can tell yourself negative affirmations if you're feeling down about yourself, like I can't do this. You're not going to do it. But Steve, for example, right here, this amazing example, you know, he's telling himself, I can do this. I got this. And then he comes out, he becomes Captain America, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And this whole scene really shows, you know, it's another great visual of how when we have the right mindset that I can do this, that perseverance attitude, we come out looking like Captain America.
Exactly.
You know, maybe it's mentally, not physically, whatever it is, you're Captain America. Exactly. And that's what I want for everybody out there. Take this message in deep.
And then this is another example of Captain America with that one quote from Dr. Erskine, what is good on the inside becomes great. With this perseverance, Steve Rogers comes out of the pod. He still has this exact same perseverance, you know, but he has this new body, you know what I mean, basically, which is the fruits of his labor from the perseverance and all those exams. And then he comes out immediately. The Nazi reveals himself. Unfortunately, Dr. Erskine, you know, poor guy, right?
Yeah,
didn't make it. But then Steve immediately comes out, but he's the same guy, you know?
Yeah, and this is what, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, he stands up for what's right. He immediately chases after, like, the Nazi, like, once he checks on Erskine, right? Yeah. And then he just goes chasing out. He still has he still has to get used to his body, of course. Like,
Yeah, as you can see, he runs through the wedding dress store.
He doesn't exactly have like his perfect coordination quite yet, right? But you still see like he's still the same guy, you know, like he still apologizes after immediately running into the window, and he's like, oh, sorry. Of course, he can't stop and like pay for it or whatever, because one, I don't think he's that rich, and two, he has to keep running, right? He still has his eyes on his goal, like and he's persevering for it, right? Even overcoming his own body. And he'll same with the little boy in the river. He has to check on the boy before coming after the Nazi. And luckily, the boy can swim. You know, that was one of my favorite moments in the movie because it's pretty funny. But
I can swim.
I can swim. You go after him. That was pretty funny. But and it really just goes to show that like he's still that guy, and it shows that perseverance, or in this case, super serum. What is good on the inside becomes great. Like now that he has a body to match the perseverance in the mind and the heart, he can do anything.
Yeah, and that just keeping at it. But all this manifested from that I can do this all day attitude.
Absolutely.
I can do this. He would not be the specimen who can chase down the Nazi that's running away if he didn't continually look at that. I can do this. If he wouldn't have continually persevered in seeking out how to get into the military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if those 5 failed tests, you know, if he would have given up after one, we can't give up. And that's the message of Captain America. That's the message I want you to have. Because look at it, man. That is your potential.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you can manifest in different ways, of course. But my friends, when good becomes great, nothing can stop us.
Nothing.
And the interesting thing about it is he was always this.
It was always him on the inside.
Even if he would have been skinny Steve Rogers, he would
have
tried to chase that Nazi. I don't think it would have turned out well. But, you know, it's all perspective. It's all, perseverance. Just go for it. Just keep moving forward. Just keep that I can do it attitude.
Absolutely.
So now, you know, another character who had to persevere a lot in this is Agent Carter.
Super underrated too. Not a lot of people talk about her either.
No, and really a key character in the film.
Yeah.
And amazing, you know, they really had a lot of insight in this movie into, you know, kind of the times and how people were treated.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Agent Carter, you know, this is a scene where, you know, the captain, their general there is telling her, you know, you only care about Steve because he's, you know,
you got a crush.
Because you got a crush, you know. And then this slime ball is, you know, belittling her about being a female and being very rude and, you know, just rude and belittling.
And he just got laid out.
Yes, she lays him out.
Because Carter's just strong in here and just in general. She's just strong. You know?
Physically.
Yeah.
You know, and I really like the perseverance they show in Agent Carter and how strong she is mentally, physically, you know, just and intellectually. I mean, you know, the plans she comes up with, the strength she has, you know, there's the point where she's not real happy with Captain America.
Yeah.
She takes that gun and boom, boom, boom. She knows she's not going to hurt him, but that's a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it is.
You know, that, you know, she's just a very strong and developed character, you know, and even there's, you know, on a side note, she did have a series.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, so that might be something worth looking up too.
Definitely. I've heard it's actually really good too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched, you know, part of
Jarvis
a couple
is
of
there
those.
too, you know.
Oh, is he on there?
Yeah, Jarvis is there.
Oh, awesome. So, yeah,
and you can tell like it's more subtle, I guess, in Captain America and Dr. Erskine, because she doesn't have all that much screen time compared to those.
Yeah.
But with you can tell, like, for example, in the car scene, you know, with her and Captain America in the car, and Captain America's still a little scrawny, you know. I think this was during when he was on his way to the pod. Before.
Yes.
Yeah. And she tells him, like, I've had my fair share of troubles because in this field of work as well. And you can tell it's probably because the time was sexist. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. But they do a very good job, I think, highlighting you know, how things were there and her strength.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Super inspiring. Yeah.
All right. Now this is where the scenario, you know, Captain became strong,
Yeah,
physically strong,
he's Captain America.
invincible,
Mhm.
pretty close.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now what's he got to overcome now? What's he
Now-
got to persevere on now?
He's-
This. What do you guys think out there? This is I believe this is probably the toughest
Mhm.
thing to persevere over.
Absolutely, and it's you can pause the video real quick to think it over real quick. 3, 2, 1. Basically, what it is he kind of has to overcome and realize his full potential in this field of work. Because he got his job. He's doing his job. Selling bonds. He's doing his part for America right now in World War II. Because I mean, at that point, in his mind, the only other substitute was just being in some lab. You know what I mean? Being a lab rat. And so he thought this was his only substitute. And, he did his job week in and week out, punching Hitler or whatever from the stands. And you know what? It sold a lot of bonds. He had fun doing it too. You know what I mean?
And even though in his heart he wanted to be there on the front lines,
He did.
I mean, it's always been his goal to be a soldier. But I think Captain America's perseverance here is a good example of sometimes as we're moving forward, we might not be doing exactly what our heart fulfillment is.
Yeah.
It might not be on the top of our list, but Captain continues to do it to the best of his ability.
Mhm.
He maximizes the entertainment industry to produce money for the cause.
Mhm.
So where he's at, he's a soldier. He's following orders.
Absolutely.
Things change a little bit though when he goes overseas and they mock him.
Yeah. And especially when he finds out that a bunch of soldiers got kidnapped behind enemy lines, and that's another point where he has to persevere as well. He had to overcome that stigma that he had that he was just some circus clown.
Yeah. Yeah, and that mockery, it must have hurt. To be talking to the soldiers who you feel you're 100% supporting them and doing what you can, and they're making fun of you. They're throwing tomatoes and stuff.
Social mockery.
Yeah, it is, and I think that was something that he had to persevere over. That was, probably not the most difficult. I think we'll get to that a little later.
Mhm.
But actually, there's a couple more
Yeah.
difficult things. But I would say it's probably more difficult than his size issues. Was that not having the respect of people when you feel like you're doing what you're called to do.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing, and lessons to be learned from here is just continue to be mindful where you're at, always function at the best of your best of your skill set, and don't get down on yourself if you're not where you think you should be. It will come.
Absolutely.
It will come, and the opportunity will come, and when it does, you got to capitalize on it, just like Captain does.
Absolutely.
And then when he capitalizes on it, the captain has arrived.
Yeah, and you just become this crazy powerful dude and like the figurehead of the war. I mean, fictionally.
Yeah.
But it's just this figurehead that like everybody can like rally behind and like be inspired by as well. Everybody in that war, his little war buddies over there, they're inspired by his perseverance, so they start to persevere themselves and they become stronger. Suit,
Yeah. And the thing is he didn't hold any grudges either.
Mhm.
All the, some of the people when he got back who had been mocking him, he didn't say, "Oh, look at me, I had this." He just knew who he was, and he knew that when it was time to persevere in the area where he felt he should be, that he would be ready. And I think that's something, is always being ready, always know who you are. The positive, strong person. If we focus on why am I not there? What do I need to do to get there? That's okay to be looking, but not if you're beating yourself up. Why are they there and I'm not? Those type of negative things just get worse.
Absolutely.
But the good things, Cap even says when they're mocking him, "Hey guys, we're on the same side."
Mm-hmm. And we're all on the same side.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my part, and that must have been hard. But then he did his part.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunity arose, he took it, he moved forward, he persevered with his skill set.
And I gotta say, one of the coolest scenes in the movie.
Oh man, yeah. These scenes are, it's a great example of Captain you know, that progression of how he's persevering from the little guy in the alley who got beat up to, you know, the greatest soldier of all time. And it's just great, and I hope that you can connect with it. This is what we really want you and your family to talk about these things, and how can we do this how can we become captain in our daily life?
Exactly.
Right? How can we persevere?
But the road with perseverance isn't it's tough, you know. Like especially like right here. You know, Steve, he's on that trip with the train, right? And he's with with Bucky, and he's with some of his other war buddies, but unfortunately Bucky doesn't make it, you know.
Yeah.
But with that, Steve, he doesn't let it slow him down, you know.
Yeah, you know, and this is something that's very tough.
So tough. Yeah.
Losing somebody close to you and then persevering after that is very tough.
Yeah.
You know, and I think this is, you know, definitely tougher than anything he had faced before. But he overcomes it. You know, he grieves, and he's sad, and he mourns, but then he realizes he has to move forward.
Yes.
The best, he doesn't deny that it hurts. He doesn't cover it up. He identifies it, but he can't filter everything through that. He's got to filter everything through his potential and his orders and what direction he's going to go to stop the war.
Absolutely.
And Cap moves forward with it, you know, but just always knowing that life's tough.
Life's tough, man.
Life is amazing, but tough stuff's going to come. And, you know, if we need therapy, whatever we need, you know, we gotta use all our resources, but we can't let it throw us off track.
Absolutely.
We have to be ready that challenging things are going to come, but continue to then look at those positive things, look at those strengths, look at the accomplishments, the positive accomplishments in the past. Don't focus on the pain in the past, but your positive accomplishments, and look where you've come, you know, from the little Steve Rogers to Captain America. And at the end of the day, knowing that even though he had this loss, Steve would want him to persevere. Bucky, excuse me. Bucky would want Steve to persevere. Bucky would want Steve to go on and stop the Nazis.
Absolutely. And you know what? He does that.
Oh, yeah.
And also, it's not the last we're going to be seeing of Bucky.
That's right. That's right.
And the quote comes back again: "What is inside the good becomes great." You know, this is like the finale of the movie. You know, and he has one more test of well, I guess there's another test of perseverance later on, right? But
I think I would say this is the hardest one.
It is, because I mean, for a little bit of context, you know, Steve hijacks the plane that was going to crash into the United States. With,
full of bombs,
and it was like piloted by Red Skull, right? He defeats Red Skull, or at least Red Skull, grabs the cube, and then he gets shot up, and we'll see more of him later as well.
Yeah, exactly. But on Earth, he defeats Red Skull.
On Earth, he does defeat Red Skull. He has to pilot the plane. He has to take care of it somehow, and he's in the middle of nowhere, so he might as well do it now, right? But he has to make that one quick call to Peggy, right? And he has to. He tells her what he's got to do, and they both have to persevere, honestly, because they both have to persevere through their own selfishness, you know.
And I think that's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Because they're pretty much an item at this point, you know. Like they're soulmates almost, you know, and we see that more later on as well. But spoiler, right? But and they think they have everything figured out, but then life threw another curveball at Steve, and then he has to do what he has to do, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard thing about this scenario. And I think this is probably why this is the hardest example of perseverance. Is Steve has become strong. Steve has become the soldier that he always wanted to be. Steve has the lady he loves.
Yes, his life's set, but then he has to.
But he has to make the choice to save many and lose all those things, or at least. He thinks he's going to lose all those things, but he had to make that choice. And I think sometimes that internal battle to do the right thing and to focus on the right thing and to persevere even when it seems like everything you care about is at risk. That's hard, you know. But Steve does it. He perseveres, and things turn out.
And it's proof of how far he came, man. You know,
Yeah.
like super serum. You know, it didn't really change who he was inside, and because I mean, let's be real. Scrawny Steve Rogers, he would have made the same choice. You know?
Yep, exactly. You know, the good become great. That's the perfect example, and it's the same with all of you out there.
Absolutely.
You have to accentuate that good so it becomes great, and it's in your control, and it's by your choice.
Absolutely.
You know. Now we got perseverance over death. This sounds like a big one.
I don't think a lot of people are going to be dealing with this one.
No, I don't think so either.
But I mean, it still just goes to show how strong mentally, and not just physically, but mentally, Steve is as a character. You know.
Yeah.
Because end of the movie, you know, he wakes up in a hospital. He thinks he's right back to where he was. He's like, okay, I'm in New York. But then he pieces together, okay, something's not right here with the radio.
Yes.
He breaks out of there. It's a set this whole time. And then he has to realize, okay, what the hell happened? I just woke up like multiple decades later. And
70 years later.
Yeah, 70 years later. And more than likely, everybody that I know was dead. You know, that's not the case. But in his mind, he's like, I just missed everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Like his life is, and everything he knew in his life and everything is gone.
Mm-hmm. And he has to deal with that.
So, you know, to his, you know, that little soldier in there, the I can do it, he holds it together well, all things considered. But it's a good example of sometimes things are going to throw us.
Absolutely.
You know, we have to regroup and go, okay, just stop here. This hurts. This is scary, but I can get through it. Okay. I can do the right thing like Steve always does. I can persevere here.
And like even 70 years in the future, he doesn't even let that phase him and like change who he is, you know? I mean, he has to undergo like character changes in the future, of course, but like in that moment and then going up to at least the Avengers, he's still Steve from Brooklyn.
Still Steve from Brooklyn. Exactly. That soldier heart, that kind, follow my orders, do the right thing heart, persevere over everything. He's always Steve. Captain America is always Steve. So now, Easter egg.
Time.
Where is Stanley?
Where is he?
That's a game we kind of play in our family. Hopefully, you guys can adapt this into yours. It's a very fun thing to do. You know, Stan, of course. Stan Lee is the
man.
Yeah, he is the Marvel genius. He is the beginner of Marvel, correct?
Pretty much, like he put it on.
Jack Kirby was in on it too, but Stan Lee really streamlined Marvel, and he appears in every one of these movies.
Yeah.
So
like you see him in like so many different like areas that you didn't expect. And like I didn't expect him to see him like as a general. You know what I mean? I mean, we're not gonna spoil where to find him,
but find him.
Find
him and then describe in, reply to our video and tell us exactly where you found him.
Absolutely.
Does that sound like a deal?
You guys got that?
All right. So with that being said, we really appreciate you coming on with us. We hope you appreciate this series. It's, I'm really excited about it.
I'm so happy we're doing this, man.
I really think that we all struggle in different areas. We have to find a way as families and as individuals to apply it to something. And the Marvel movies give us so much direction as to how to thrive, with our struggles and to see people who are superheroes even that are thriving with their struggles.
And these Marvel movies are basically like a buffet of just like really good life lessons, you know what I mean? And it's like cool superheroes and cool superhero moments, but it's like you can learn so much from like so many different movies, and I just love it for that. Honestly.
And if nothing else, I mean, really in my heart, having the time with your family. I can't stress enough how me, Ilyas, and Rashida, when we watched it together and discuss it and bring stuff up, it's It's an awesome bonding moment. We all see different. Oh, did we see that before? You know, there was a scene in there where when they're at the World's Fair, it says what was it?
Modern Marvels. Basically.
Modern Marvels. You know, and it's kind of a play. It's kind of an Easter egg in itself. I couldn't find a good clip of that, or else I would have shared it. But look out for it. Let me know if you find Modern Marvels.
And keep a looking for like all the suits that are there too, because I got some classic superheroes in there too that you may not have caught last time you watched it. You know.
Yeah. So now just a couple other things that I want to go over. You know, support our channel.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the link for my Captain America Under Armour. Where is it? Under Armour shirt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the Amazon link there. I got this Black Panther hat. I'm gonna have the link for.
Super cool.
Ilyas's Spider-Man and Iron Man shirt. You know, we get, you know, we're Amazon affiliates. It takes time and everything. We just appreciate your support. And come on, it's awesome. Come on, it just rocks. You know, they're great conversation pieces. People always, wow, where'd you get that? You know, and I appreciate you guys, and just thank you so much for supporting Learning to Live. Our introduction, I'm so excited because our introduction
it got a lot of
video within 2 days, it went up to over 100. That's never happened.
That is amazing. We appreciate you guys.
No, we appreciate you guys so much. You know, so with that being said, next up, Captain Marvel topic will be discussed in the next week. Please tune in. Stay tuned. Be strong. Be brave. Be courageous. Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate you.